All right. We're giving some time for this to come on if you're joining this during the after it's been recorded. I'm sitting here with Rose and Tom, and we're out in Northport at Willow Creek Apartments. And they've run into a variety of hurdles that they've been trying to overcome, and they haven't really gotten the attention that they need in regards to these issues. And this is a place, if you're not familiar with it, in Northport, it's primarily senior living. Most of them are, they have some low income, they have a lot of disabilities, and your normal stuff that comes with some of the senior living. Now, Rose and Tom are a little bit hard of hearing, so I'm going to try talking a little bit louder, and they're going to go through some of the issues. One thing that they had that the local WWSB came out and reported on was the elevators, and they weren't working, and for a while. So we're going to cover that in a second. I did write the management company yesterday. I don't know if they saw it. The elevators are fixed today. I know in one building. I'm not sure if all three. So, Rose, why don't we start with, tell us a little bit about what drove me here first is the elevator problem. And guys, this is a huge issue because you have, like in this building, an individual that's in a wheelchair and he can't get down. He hasn't been able to leave his apartment for what, 11 days?
11 days, he's on the third
floor.
floor.
Go ahead and tell him what happened.
Okay. The elevators in 3 buildings out of 7 buildings were not functioning. On-site management did not call a professional elevator maintenance company to come out and fix it. They had on-site maintenance man look at it who is not qualified. Now, I have neighbors that live on the 3rd floor in one of the buildings that's in a wheelchair, and he couldn't get out of his apartment for 11 days.
Yeah, and if you look at it, what caught my attention on this is my mother-in-law actually lives here. And I didn't know this was an issue until I saw that report. And I'm like, oh, wow, because my mother-in-law can't walk. And she smokes. And the other thing is, you guys probably saw where I put out public housing is basically stopping all smoking on the August 1st. And we have, and Tom and I are going to cover this in a second. In some ways, this is, I believe, in some federal program which would qualify under public housing. Now, they came in and stopped them from smoking 2 months ago inside. Well, that's pretty hard when someone like my mother-in-law, who's had 5 heart attacks, and yes, I know she shouldn't be smoking, but she is, and she can't walk down the stairs. What is she going to do? So it was 11 days, and they had a maintenance guy working on it.
Yes.
He couldn't get the problem resolved.
No.
What did the guy upstairs do that was in the wheelchair? How do you survive? How do you for 11 days? Just hang out up there?
Basically, neighbors were helping him, bringing him food, you know, just our neighbors helping each other. We had, I'm so sorry.
No problem.
He was trapped. So he called a newsroom and
Right.
had a reporter come out here, and the reporter did the story on a 5 o'clock news. I believe it was on Channel 7. I think it was 86.
Yeah, Dwayne. Yep.
Yeah. And a couple of days after that, the elevators magically got fixed.
Yeah, and
They didn't tell us who did it, if they were certified, or how they fixed it. So we're kind of leery of even using the elevators.
And that actually happened today because when I pulled
Yes.
up to bring my mother-in-law some stuff, she was downstairs. I'm like, how the hell did you get down here? And she's
Yeah.
like, the elevator, it suddenly started working again today.
Yes.
And so that's been a major issue, I think. And
Yes.
what you guys have to envision is these are generally elderly and it's senior living. They're elderly. A lot of them don't have kids that are nearby. I mean, I'm 30 minutes away. They can't manage some of the basic stuff that we think is just a joke. You know, go downstairs, get a coffee. To us, it's no problem. To them, it's a huge issue.
Yes.
And it should be a concern for a lot of people. But it goes beyond that. Now, maintenance-wise, this company, you were telling me all these different maintenance issues, and it's been 5 years, and you can't get issues resolved.
No, sir.
Do you want to elaborate on that at all?
Yes. One thing, my air conditioning unit is very outdated. The circuit breaker box is very outdated, so it keeps kicking off my air conditioning, and just the fan runs, so my electric bill is sky high. I've repeatedly asked on-site management for help with this problem. They send the maintenance guy over, he puts a little Freon in the outside unit, and he says that'll take care of the problem. But that doesn't take care of the problem. I have a thermostat on my wall that you have to fiddle with it to get it on for the air conditioner. It's very hard. We had an inspection that the on-site management came over. They wrote down all the grievances that I've got going on. I've got mold in my closet. I have to go to a respiratory doctor because I'm breathing in mold that they're telling me just to put bleach on it. I had a mold inspection company come out. They verified, yes, this is mold, but on-site management wouldn't approve the treatment. So they couldn't do anything about it.
Well, that's horrific there, I'll tell you
Yes,
that.
yes.
And I believe that, being in my mother-in-law's apartment, I smell it. I don't find that hard to believe. The other thing that's I don't like, and I hate coming here, is when you go into their hallways, they got these long ass hallways, and there's no AC.
Nope.
And it gets hot in there. And I gotta think that somehow that's impacting your air conditioning, which
Sure.
then is driving up your bill.
Sure.
And little stuff, guys, like cable. And my wife hasn't got an explanation on this. I was talking to my mother-in-law, and she wants to go on some trip. And I said, well, you know what? I'm paying all your bills, and your electric's like $90, or not electric, your cable's $90. She goes,
Right.
I don't watch anything. I go, yeah, that's the basic cable TV rate, Liz.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is a little ridiculous, but you can't get an explanation on why you can't just get a basic thing.
Yeah.
Now, the other issue is water. And I was talking to Rose about this, and it's all along the lines of their billing. And she's going to go into a story that I think I'm going to probably be facing soon when I get the bill. For a few months, they've been transitioning how you pay your bills. It's really crazy.
Yeah.
And there's no water bill. You never know how much the water is, and then they'll send you a notice saying you're late, and you're like, well, I never got a water bill. How can you tell me I'm late?
Yes.
Rose will tell you that when she tried to get stories, and Tom, I'm not sure which one did this, but they tried saying, well, the city's not involved in our water. But when I look at the water bill, I see fees for sewers and everything else. So, I'll ask, like, I think Vanessa, if she's the mayor of Northport, if you watch this, let us know, because something doesn't seem right there. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about her water bill, where she's saying she's going to get another late charge for not paying a bill that she hasn't received in 4 months.
Yes, that's correct.
And there it is, and they want their money, or you're going to get more late fees. So tell us a little bit, like that issue.
Yes, I haven't received a water bill in 4 months, and when I was receiving the water bill, it was a third-party billing that I didn't know where they got the figure for the readings.
Couldn't verify the billing.
No, they never would give you readings.
No.
And I just pay it because my wife says, here, pay X amount, but I know that has been an
It's
issue.
like taxation without representation.
Yeah.
Pay this and,
And just so you know, Tom's an activist for the elderly, for a lot of people with disabilities and stuff.
Taxes, right.
And he's got a ton of notes here that we're going to cover in a second. And we're going to talk about his issue that he had trying to come in here in just a second.
Yeah.
So the water bill, she's got this thing saying you're late. And it's hard when you're senior and elderly and you're trying to manage a budget and you don't have someone like your lovely son-in-law, Francesco Abbruzzino here, just to pay the bill.
Yeah.
You get something for $50. $50 is a lot of money to someone that's on a budget.
On a fixed income.
On a fixed income.
Social Security, they don't raise that, but they're asking me for more money that I don't have.
And
without
this
justification.
And basically, you're here, in my mind, if you are fixed income. I know that's how my mother-in-law's here.
Yes.
It's fixed income.
Yes.
And otherwise, she'd be in a $3,000 a month condo if she could afford it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's the situation with most of the people here. Now, so now she's got to try to scrap up, what, $50, $40?
Yeah, I have to borrow it from my son.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing I want to do is live off of my children.
Yeah, and my mother lives here in Northport too, and she can't stand getting money from me. She refuses to ask for it.
It's,
Yeah.
you don't want your children, they're grown, they've got their own family, you don't want to have to be a burden on them.
Right.
But, when you have a good family, you can rely on them. So my son has been subsidizing me with funds to just meet my monthly bills because, like I said, I'm on a fixed income. I get just X amount of dollars, and I get all this extra stuff thrown at me. Where am I supposed to come up with it? I'm disabled. I can't go to work.
And when you try to go to the local management,
yes,
they have been
non-responsive, at the very best non-responsive, at the very worst abusive. They will threaten us and say that they will call the authorities, the police.
Which they have done, folks, and I'm going to interrupt Rose, and I interrupt a lot, Rose.
That's okay.
They were telling me a story how an elderly woman was upset over a billing issue, I think it was,
Yeah.
and she went down there, and like some people, if they're like my mother-in-law has Alzheimer's, onset of Alzheimer's, and they lose it sometimes, okay?
She was confused.
She was confused,
Yes.
perfect word. And instead of dealing with the issue and trying to explain why she owed the money and try to resolve this issue, the lady was probably like Rose saying, I don't have $50.
Yes.
They decided to call the cops on her.
Yes. Yes.
Instead
they
of
did.
handling it. And
Yeah,
when
yeah.
did that happen? Just
This was about a week and a half ago,
a week and a half ago.
and the 2 Northport police came out. They were very nice. They didn't harass her. They didn't, belittle her or intimidate her. They just told her to go back home. And the on-site, they're not even managers in the building because the manager is in Georgia. So what basically we have here representing us are just answering telephones, and they have no authority to rectify any problem.
Yeah, and we're gonna jump to Tom on this whole management issue because he did what I did. I thought it was contacting Good Harbor, and they're just a management company. He's done a lot of research because he wanted to know why he was turned down. To give you a little bit of back history, Tom used to live here. He paid his rent in a timely manner. All life was good. He ended up leaving for something. He wanted to come back and live here. He has a house here in Northport that his kids have. He applied. They said, "Well, we're turning you down, but it's not due to your credit or anything like that. But we're not going to tell you. It's due to some other stuff." So he doesn't have any idea why he's been turned down, and so he's going to cover that. But the problem is he has nowhere to turn to because nobody returns calls. The management won't return calls. The investor, he finally got one of the It's basically a tax shelter for the wealth, like such individuals as Mark Zuckerberg. So we're going to have Tom pick that end up.
Yeah, good.
Go ahead. And Tom's hard of hearing. Sorry. Go ahead and pick that up.
I am a former resident. I lived here a couple years back, got
Yeah.
to meet Rose, the community, made a lot of friends in this community. I'd gone to British Columbia, Canada to work with a partner of mine up there on some human rights issues. I like to take action with human rights, especially protected classes, autism, disabled, elderly, and so I came back here to help. I co-signed for my son on the house. His wife and children living there, and I thought I'd come back here to this community because I have, in fact, I have a petition here of several residents that made a character reference to bring me back. I went over to the office and filled the application out. Before Rose and I had walked back to her apartment from the office, she had gotten an email with
Within
my
minutes.
information,
Within minutes.
even though they had all my email address, phone numbers,
They sent it
to
to
her
me.
saying I was declined. And so I went back over and they gave me a letter saying that the reason for being declined was not anything to do with consumer reporting or anything, that it was their decision. And so I asked them what the decision was. They said, well, they couldn't tell me. I asked who could tell me. They gave me the management company in Colorado. So I started calling the management company. I've never gotten a return call, so that upset me a little more. I went a little further. The applications go through a screening operation out of Texas. I called Texas. They had never received my application. And so now I'm still wondering why I was turned down. And there's no transparency. Back to the billing issue, some of these people are down to $5, $3 at the end of the month. And when they have a $5 tack on for handling fees, when they tell us the water billing is electronic, so that doesn't mean a lot to them, but it does a lot to the individuals here. But there's just no transparency.
And when you're hearing this, envision this being your mother, your grandmother, or your father, and you're miles away. You're up in Colorado. They're down here in Florida. They don't want to call you like Rose doesn't want to call her son. And imagine them having to deal with that. So take yourself out of your 20-year self or 40-year-old train of thought and put yourself in their shoes. Sorry, Tom. Go ahead.
So because of my issue, I thought,
Very good.
and I had the petition on my character reference, that I made many friends here, and this is a community to me. We go to the gazebo, we have a Friday night get-together, play a little music.
Cookout.
So we started a survey, and within minutes we had over 15 or 20 people fill this survey out. A lot of them are too timid to go to the office and say anything because there is retaliation, such as the water bill stuck to her door after we left the office there. And I don't think the on-site staff is suitable for the senior community here. They don't understand. So I proceeded to get a hold of Good Harbor, which is the management company, never got a return call back. The news person that
WSB, yep.
never got a return call. So I went to Bloomberg Reports on Wall Street to check out this company that actually is the landlord. And in the meantime, I printed the Florida statutes on tenant landlord rights. And one of the ones in here is statute number 8350 is disclosure of the landlord's address. Well, we never got that. They won't give it to us. There's no transparency. So, which got me doing a little more research, went through Bloomberg, found out who the owners of the company are, and I did a tweet to Bloomberg about the mishandling here. This is a tax credit program. I've been having a hard time finding out if it's HUD Section 8. I've talked to HUD. They said they don't have a part of it, but going through my reverse research, found out that it is a tax credit harbor. One of the investors here was Zuckerman, that happened to have sold $42 million of shares, they call it units, October of 2017, along with some insider trading. It's not a publicly traded company. But the way we're going to get a lot of these problems resolved, we're doing this for the welfare of the community here. And the way we can get some of these issues resolved is to get some light on the owning landlord corporation, who these investors are, and or through local support. So that's why we wanted to get some support, getting the word out about what these people are going through here. And it's not just one or two, it's a lot of people. There's a whole contingent of Russians that don't speak English, that are very timid, and we don't know where they come. They claim it's not a HUD, but...
See, that's a whole other story, and I asked about it, and they didn't have a lot of answers. It's very strange that there's some type of government program, because the Ukrainians here that don't even speak English only pay like $250 a month, and they drive Mercedes.
Yes.
I don't understand that, but
yes.
but there is, if you go to their website, they have what appears to me, leaves me with the perception that there's some type of government program, be it somehow this tax scheme or something, and with that, there has to be a certain, they have to treat seniors in a certain manner. Even without it, they should. Yes. But and Tom's going to research that more. And this is just the beginning. So they if you guys have any ideas, any solutions, if you want to contact them, talk under this thing. I'm going to go ahead, when I get home, I'm going to put it on my website and share it on all my sites, including tagging on Twitter and stuff, some of these companies. And hopefully we can try to get them a better resolution, bring some attention to the issue that they're having.
We need to expose the problems and get to some answers.
And it's a shame that nobody's really doing stuff about this out here. I know a lot of, like I have an interview, I think I'm going to interview one of the Northport County Commissioners after this, and he can't do anything. It's out of their control. So who do they turn to? And they don't know right now, because the owners aren't responding, the management isn't responding. No. These guys obviously locally aren't doing much. Mm-hmm. What are some parting words that you'd like to put out there? But we'll start with you, Rose.
Okay. I would like to say that I am 65 years old, I am disabled, and I'm on a fixed income, and I have to get subsidized by my oldest son to help me pay my bills, and I don't think it's fair that I have to rely on my family to pay for my bills when the bills aren't even accurate. There's no evidence of, they're just the office on-site managers saying what I owe without any accuracy behind it and proof that I owe this. Right. And they are very intimidating, and if you say anything to them, they will say, well, if you don't like it, move away.
Yeah, and the sign of the intimidation is there's several people that are experiencing this issue, but they don't want to go before a live camera.
Yes.
And that's ridiculous that they tell you just move away.
Yeah. Well, they're younger people, and they don't have...
Oh, they may be watching right now.
I hope so. I hope so. I mean,
we need
this is to Carrie that works in the office and Joyce that works in the office. This is how you are making us live our lives.
And maybe they don't know they're doing that.
Right.
Yeah,
Well, I think
it
they
could
do.
be.
They're passive aggressive. Very passive aggressive over there.
It very well could be, but they have to.
I'm trying to give
know.
them the benefit of the doubt.
Sure, of course, of course. But I've lived here for 5 years, being a resident here, and I've always paid my rent on time, always paid my bills, and I have had zero maintenance done in my apartment, and there's a slew of things that need to be taken care of. That is life-threatening because, for one thing, there's mold. I had to go to a respiratory doctor, and he documented that I was breathing.
Well, that whole mold thing really bugs me that they haven't done anything about that, because
Yes.
mold could be, I mean, your overall health, especially someone that's elderly,
Yes.
that's not good. And that freaking elevator, guys, 11 days, the guy's in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
11 days, my mother-in-law, I didn't know about this until Dwayne's story,
Yeah.
had to sit upstairs on a third floor. They say you can't smoke because they instituted that 2 months ago versus in August, so, and like I said, my mother-in-law with 5 heart attacks still smokes.
Yeah.
And but you know, it's like, come on, guys,
Yeah.
are we not civil in this society
Yes.
that we're gonna leave these elderly like this? It's just
Yes.
kind of a shame.
It is.
Well, you can't just magically make a 30, 40, 50-year-old habit disappear. You have to replace it with something. But as far as if it's a fire concern, the toaster's a fire issue, the circuit breakers that flip get hot, that's a fire issue. A lady calling fire from her stove a while back here.
One of the
Those are fire
residents,
issues. So if they're
she
using
did.
smoking and say if to smoke off campus, you got to walk down a block. I mean, these people came here and they were leased apartments with those conditions. You can't just change that on them. And so, but that's one issue.
You know, that's an excellent point, though. What if some elderly person, I think someone had a heart attack the other day on my mother-in-law's floor, has a heart attack or it needs to get to the hospital. They can't walk down the freaking stairs.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
you call an ambulance, you're going to delay the ambulance. They can't use the elevator to get up there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly
So there's no fire
right.
issue, it's just retaliation from the
Yeah.
staff over here. It's not from Good Harbor Management Company because nobody knows where they exist. They don't call us. That's why I went to the owners, the landlords, they're the largest property owners in the United States. They own 214,000 properties like this one. And they're using it as a tax shelter. That's why they call it Good Harbor. It's Good Harbor for the tax investors, but not a good harbor for the senior residents. Some are into their 80s, they have dementia, and they can't be treated that way. Our staff is not suitable. There's been a turnover, I don't know how many times in the staff. There's also turnover in the complex, which is not good for the investors. So my goal is to make it not only good for the residents, to make this a good community, but to make it profitable for the investors as well. So we can all live a happy retirement here. That's really what it's about. I'm 68 years old, I have disabilities, I got 5 fractures, I've got epilepsy, I've knocked teeth out, and so and that's why I came back here to qualify again. But yet they treat me like I'm a nuisance here because I stand up for the rights of the citizens here. It's incredible. We need to expose some light on this problem and get it taken care of. So the more of you out there that can help us, right?
Yeah.
And there you go. And Rose will be on there. I noticed she was on a couple of my feeds today,
Yes.
trying to get me to come out here. So she will follow this one and respond if you guys have any ideas. And like I said, I'll clean up the video and put it on my website and all my other social media once I get done down here in Northport.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
I
Thank you
can't
very
thank
much.
you enough.
Well, hopefully it'll get resolved
That's-
for you guys.
Thank you so much. You
And
know,
you guys see, Rose needs your help.
please.
Well,
Alright.
it's really safety
Yes.
and the way we're treated here. We're not looking for, cut the grass or something like that. These are important
We want
issues.
some respect.
When your air
Yes,
conditioner
sir.
goes on, it's 84 degrees in here,
Yeah.
and you're dying. I mean, it's too hot. That's just not right.
Well, and that I can't imagine with that hot hallway. And
Oh.
my mother-in-law's when I
Right.
go in there, that hot hallway and
It
trying
hits
to get
you
the
right
air
in the
going up
face.
and the air conditioning's antiquated. It's like, oh my.
Yeah.
That's why I never come there.
If this mega billion-dollar corporation can't afford $100,000 fixing all 210 units up here, there's a problem there. I mean,
Yeah.
they're taking the tax credit and they're taking advantage of the harvesting the people.
Yep,
That ain't
exactly.
right.
Exactly, and those are some good final words. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Tom and Rose, everybody.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
No problem,
God
anytime.
bless you.
All
God
right.
bless
Pretty
you.
much it.
All right.
You're really, thank you.